What is going on, guys? ESG here, back with a new FPL video. In today's video, I'm going to be going through some of the best premium and semi-premium players to own ahead of game week 1. As always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. And with that being said, let's get into it. So the first player that we're going to be looking at in today's video is Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. Now, Saka's ownership is currently 26.4% as I'm recording this. And Arsenal's fixtures aren't the nicest to start the season. They've got Wolves at home, which is a really nice game. But then Aston Villa away, which is really tough. Brighton at home, which is nice, but then Tottenham and Man City away, which are another two tough ones. I think Saka's ownership is so high, just going off the fact that he's on penalties for Arsenal. So if they get a penalty, as long as he scores it, it's a guaranteed goal. And Saka's stats from last season, they don't really disappoint. 16 goals, 12 assists in 35 starts. That's decent, but with Saka playing majority of minutes at the Euros, I think his game time will be managed by Arteta at the start of the season, especially with him not having a full preseason under his belt. If he was having a full preseason and he hadn't been to the Euros, 100% he would be worth getting in for game week 1. But I just feel like there are better options out there with better fixtures, especially for a similar price, if not cheaper, especially for the first 5 or 6 game weeks. 100% Saka is going to be worth owning at some point in the season, but I think there are nicer fixtures to be targeting for the first few weeks than what Saka has. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about that and whether you will be going with Saka or not for the start of the season. So the next player that we are going to be looking at is William Saliba from Arsenal. Now, I've included Saliba in this video because of his ownership. As I'm recording this, he's currently owned by 40.8% of players, and he's the highest owned defender in FPL this season. Coming in at 6 million, which is an increase from last season, I can understand why people would go for Saliba as that expensive defender. But there are better options out there with nicer fixtures where I can see more clean sheets. If we look at Arsenal's fixtures again, Wolves at home and Brighton at home, I can probably see a clean sheet in. But the other 3 games where it's Villa away, Tottenham away, and Man City away, I can't see a clean sheet in any of those games. And I feel like bringing in Saliba for 6 million, who, yes, he's probably a lock-in to start every game, but when he doesn't really do much from set pieces, it's a lot to be spending on a defender who you might only get 2 points from in 3 of the first 5 games. I'd rather go for either a Gavardiol for the same price, or go a million up to Trent Alexander-Arnold, or even come down to a 5 million or a 4.5 million, where players have a lot nicer fixtures where they could probably get more clean sheets than Saliba in those first 5. And then look at freeing up funds elsewhere on the pitch to bring in Saliba at a later date when the fixtures for Arsenal get nicer. 100% Saliba is going to be worth owning at some point in the season, because, again, I think Arsenal defensively, in nicer games, will do extremely well. But for the start of the season, for 6 million, as I've said, there's a lot nicer options out there that you will probably get a clean sheet from, and Saliba for that just isn't doing it for me. But I want your thoughts in the comments again. Are you going to be going with Saliba? Are you one of the 40.8% that currently own him? And why? I want to know why you're owning him as well, if you are. Am I missing something? Or are you going to be looking elsewhere and you've just got him in as a placeholder for now? So the next player that we are going to look at is Gavardiol from Manchester City. Now, he's coming in at 6 million, which is the same as Saliba, and he's the second highest owned defender in FPL this season. But Man City's fixtures are a lot nicer than Arsenal's to start the season, and I can't see why Gavardiol isn't as highly owned as Saliba. If we look at Man City's fixtures, Chelsea away for that first game, that's probably putting a lot of people off. But you don't just look at the first game. I think everybody knows this about FPL. You need to look, for the first few weeks especially, I'd say look at the first 5 or 6 fixtures to gauge who you do want to bring in. And I think for the 2nd, 3rd and 4th week, Gavardiol is that option instead of Saliba. Ipswich at home in game week 2, I can see a clean sheet and a potential attacking return from Gavardiol. West Ham away, the same, and then Brentford at home, the same. Arsenal at home is the tricky one. But again, if that ends 0-0, they both get a clean sheet, I know, but Gavardiol with some attacking returns in other games is doing it more for me. if we look at his stats from last season, 26 starts, 4 goals and 2 assists. So already there, in less starts, he's doing more attacking returns than Saliba is. And Gavardiol last season, towards the end of the season especially, he was getting a lot more starts and he was playing more of a left wing role instead of a left wing back. And I just feel like if he's doing the same this season, he's going to be the asset to own as that more premium defender instead of Saliba. City's fixtures do get a little bit tough after that Brentford game, which is then you could look to take Gavardiol out and bring in Saliba or Gabriel or Trent Alexander-Arnold. But for those middle three of Ipswich, West Ham and Brentford, I think Gavardiol just edges on Saliba and is that better asset to own, just because of the potential attacking returns that he could get. But it is worth noting that we need to look in pre-season to see if he is going to be a frequent starter, because if it looks like he's not starting as many games at the start of the season, then for 6 million you don't want to bring him in, and Saliba could be that one for the same price. But if it looks like he's going to be starting, I can't see why Gavardiol's ownership won't go up and Saliba's might come down. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about that. Are you going to be going with Saliba or Gavardiol, or are you just going to get them both in so that you've got both avenues covered, and then you can take one of them out when the games get a little bit tougher? So the next player that we are going to be looking at is Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool. Now, he's coming in at 7 million this season and he's currently owned by 20.6% of players. And I can see why. If we look at Liverpool's fixtures to start the season, they've got Ipswich away, then Brentford at home, Manchester United away, which is a bit more of a tricky fixture, but then Nottingham Forest at home and Bournemouth at home. So out of those 5 fixtures, I can see 3, if not 4 clean sheets, as well as a lot of attacking returns from Trent Alexander-Arnold. If we look at his stats from last season, in 25 starts, he got 3 goals and 5 assists. Now, that's not the best for Trent. I think everybody knows that. But I think this season, he'll start the majority of games. He's on near enough every set piece. He's on free kicks, unless Szoboszlai takes it, depending whereabouts the free kick is. But Trent does get a lot of free kick goals, especially in previous seasons, and with him being on corners as well, if he can get a decent enough ball into the box and Van Dijk can get his head in it and get a goal, that's already an assist right there. So Trent is definitely one to be looking at, and I am looking at bringing him into my team. But I want your thoughts in the comments about Trent. What do you first of all think of his price range? Do you think he's rightly priced, or do you think he should be cheaper? And will you be going for Trent, or will you be going for somebody else like a Gavardiol or a Saliba who's a little bit more cheaper, as it frees up funds elsewhere on the pitch? I know it only frees up 1 million, but it does free up some funds elsewhere for you to bring in somebody else. And with that being said, we'll get onto the top 3 premium assets to be owning this season. So moving on to the top 3 premium assets to own, and coming in at 3rd place is Erling Haaland. Now, he would be higher up, he would be 2nd or 1st, but the fixtures are the thing that puts me off. Chelsea away, yes, he could get a goal in it, but there are players with better fixtures. Ipswich at home, he could get 3, if not 4 goals, so 100% worth owning for that game. West Ham away, again, fair enough, decent fixture. Brentford at home is a really nice fixture, but then Arsenal at home is that tough one, and that could end up being 0-0. Last season, Arsenal managed to keep Haaland quiet in both games, and I think it could be the same this season. So that's the only reason that he's coming 3rd on this list. He's the highest priced player ever in FPL, coming in at 15 million. And he's currently owned by 34.1% of players at the time of recording this video. And if we look at his stats from last season, I can see why he's so expensive. In 29 starts, he got 27 goals and 8 assists. Now, that's not as good as his previous season, but he did pick up that injury, so he didn't start every game. I think if he started every game, he'll have got a lot more goals. And with the fixtures that Haaland has, because there are some really nice ones in there, I don't want to say he's essential, but it could start to look like, because it's his lowest ownership that he's ever had, he could actually be a differential this season, especially for that Ipswich game in game week 2. And if you go without Haaland for that, and he does bag 3, 4, even 5 goals, that could put you back an awful lot in your mini leagues and in the global league, and then you've got a lot of ground to make up. But I can also see why people are going against Haaland because of the Chelsea fixture and the Arsenal fixtures. So there is that to keep in mind. I am going to be keeping an eye out in pre-season to see how Haaland is playing. I know he already has 1 goal in pre-season as I'm recording this video, so he could get a lot more. And by the time that I do my next draft video, he could be in it, or I could be eyeing up a move for him. So he is one that's on my radar, but I want your thoughts in the comments again. Are you going with Haaland this season, or are you going against him because of his price? So coming in as the second best premium or semi-premium asset to own is going to be Cole Palmer. He's currently the highest owned player in FPL this season with 55.3% of players owning him. And he's coming in at 10.5 million, and I can see why so many people are owning him. With the fixtures that Chelsea have, they don't disappoint. Man City at home for that first game is a tough fixture, but then Wolves away, Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth away, and West Ham away. And then the fixtures after that are really nice as well. And with his stats from last season, they don't disappoint. 29 starts because he only went to Chelsea near deadline day, but 22 goals and 13 assists. Now, yes, 9 of those goals were penalties, but that still doesn't change the fact that he's an incredible asset to go for. Coming in at 10.5 million, I think that could be one of the steals of the season, to be fair. But there are options for cheaper who could do similar, if not better. You've got Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest coming in at 6.5. You also have Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea at 6.5 if you didn't want to spend that 10.5 million on Cole Palmer. But I do feel like Palmer is one of those players that after game week 1, he's going to be essential to own because of the fixtures that Chelsea do have. But I want your thoughts in the comments. What are your thoughts on Cole Palmer? Are you one of the 55% of people that own him currently, or are you still looking at bringing him into your team and you need to try and free up funds elsewhere on the pitch? So moving on to the final player, and in my opinion, the best premium asset to be owning for the start of FPL this season, and that is going to be Mohamed Salah from Liverpool. This season, he's coming in at 12.5 million, and he's currently owned by 33.3% of players, and I can see why. If we look at Liverpool's fixtures again, Ipswich away, Brentford at home, Man United away, Nottingham Forest at home, Bournemouth at home, and even after that they have some nice fixtures. I can see Salah returning in every single one of those games personally. If we look at his stats from last season, 28 starts, 18 goals, 12 assists, so that's 30 returns in 28 games, which is incredible to see. I think with a new manager coming into Liverpool, looking at their playstyle currently, Salah's going to be a lot more impactful than he has been in other seasons. And with a full pre-season under his belt, whereas other players aren't because of the Euros and the Copa America, I think Salah will hit the ground running and be that go-to player from Liverpool to get into your teams. But again, I want your thoughts in the comments about that. Where would you rank Salah out of the premiums to own? Would you rank him a bit lower than that and put the likes of Palmer and Haaland above him? Or would you say Salah is that one to be going for because of the fixtures that they have and because, again, he has a full pre-season under his belt? So there we have it, guys. They were just a few of the best premium assets to be owning in FPL for the start of the new season. But I want your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the players that I've been through today? And is there anybody that you would rank differently? And is there anybody that you would include in that, like the likes of Son or even Foden? As always, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. And until next time, thank you for watching.